there were parents like telling like their kids, like 9-10-year-olds, to like, oh, you should take them high in the corner, you should chop them here, like really intense. I was racing with the pro men at 15 as well.
What?
After like the classics, I would be like on the bus at like 7 p.m. just like writing essays. And my parents were pissed with me. They were like, you told us you weren't even gonna podium, like we would have came over.
You said you'd never done a team pursuit before, and then you went to the Tokyo Olympics and got bronze.
Yeah.
Wow. Shemai Emma.
Shemai Manon.
And welcome back to Watts Occurring Femmes, brought to you by Rouvy, hosted by Pinarello.
We've had so many amazing guests on, haven't we?
So many. I've been loving it.
Yeah, I've learned so much from them all, and I've loved just hearing and listening and understanding their stories and things like that. And today we have Megan on, Megan Jastrab from the Netherlands, and she's here today to talk about her US GoFundMe page and all about cycling and how she got into the sport. So I'm really excited for this one.
Let's welcome her to the pod. Welcome to the podcast, Megan. It's so good to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We're so excited as well. But I think we should start maybe your first memory of cycling. Like, what is your first memory of cycling? That could be like when you were like super young. Maybe it's like a picture that you remember.
Yeah, I think growing up, I always was like on a bike. I don't remember when I wasn't. So probably like training wheels on, pink streamers on the bike, racing my brother up and down our driveway. And then where I used to live, it was like we had a like cul-de-sac at the end. So we would always race down and then race back up. So probably something like that, racing my brother.
How old were you when you first got on a bike and have that memory?
It had to be like before I was 2, I think. So I think at 2 years old, I already was like trying to get the training wheels off and stuff because my brother is older than me. So I was like, oh, if Ryan can do it, I can do it too. So yeah, it was pretty quick.
Fair play. That is really young to get on a bike.
When did you sort of start cycling, like really getting into it, like, you know, wanting to train and be on the bike more?
That was a bit later. I think I was around 11. Well, actually, I take that back. I moved to the high desert when I was around 8 or 9 years old, and there was a BMX track 5 minutes from my house. So I did that for like a year and a half. I was terrible. Like I never even bought clip and pedals. It was just full send, novice boys category because there was no girls at the local track. And then I did that for like a year and a half, and then I transitioned from BMX to cheerleading. So a stark contrast. And then
wow.
and then I think when I was like 11, I got on the road with my dad and rode my mom's old bike with down tube shifting, and then kind of took it up when I was 12 years old. Wasn't really a big fan of it, just did it because my brother and dad did it. I wanted to go to the races on the weekend, and then went to nationals, got a few results there. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, like this can take me a bit farther than I expected. And then when I was 13, started taking it seriously.
Going back to BMX, it is, I've only been to a BMX track like twice, and it is so scary. It is terrifying. You know, when you watch it on TV, it doesn't look, it looks like, I feel it's probably like cycling on a velodrome. It looks doable. And then you get to the BMX track and I'm like, I'm too scared to even go down this ramp.
No, the ramps are huge.
Let alone the actual jumps.
How come you started BMX, how come you only did that for a year and a half? Was you just like, this isn't for me, and just didn't really get into it?
Yeah, I really liked it, but at the same time I was running and doing other sports, but I think it became like a bit too political. Like there were parents like telling like their kids, like 9-10-year-olds, to like, oh, you should take them high in the corner, you should chop them here, like really intense. And my parents were like, whoa, like our 9-year-old, 10-year-old, this is not what we need them growing up in. So I think that was more the parental safety. Mama bear kicked in and was like, I don't think my 9-year-old daughter needs to be racing with the guys and being like taken out. So I got taken out like once or twice, and then that was it.
I hate that part of like when you just get really overly supportive parents that are like a little bit pushy and like come on, like at this age you're just meant to like enjoy it, just chill out, and I feel like it's probably not just in cycling, it's like every sport. I feel like football's probably really bad for it, where they're just like really pushy with it.
I completely agree. It's more like the velodrome or BMX where like people can see like every move, whereas like the road, you go off and you race for a few hours, like your moves aren't scrutinized, whereas like the velodrome, all the eyes are on you. The BMX track, everyone sees every move, so it's a bit more.
So you started kind of taking it a bit more seriously at 13?
Correct.
Yeah. And so what did you win? Nationals? That's when you kind of decided that, you know, you could make a career. Was it when you kind of one that was like, oh, this is what I want to do? Or did that come later on in life?
Yeah, I think my first year I was 12 and I was racing, so I was like 11, 12 category, and I won the time trial and the road race. And like for in the US, you have like the podium for 5, but then when the 17, 18-year-olds went up, they would take away 4th and 5th. And I was like, that's strange. Like, why are you doing that? And they're like, oh, well, 17, 18 category, when you win or get second, not second exactly, but normally, you get selected for the world championships and you get a trip to go to junior worlds. And I was like, to Europe? You can race your bike in Europe? And they're like, yeah, you can like go over and race professionally. And then that kind of opened my eyes to a bit more. And I was like, oh, okay. So if I just hold out for another 5 years of doing this, then maybe I can go to Europe. So yeah, that was kind of like the eye-opening moment.
And was it always road? Like, when did the track come into it? Was that when you went to Europe? Was that in the US?
Yeah, I did mountain biking also on the side, like a junior high league. Like, yeah, I was just outdoors. Yeah, I had lots of sports, lots of disciplines. And yeah, so I did a bit of mountain biking, and then the track. Of my dad's really good friend that he would always ride with. He had like a friend who did a junior program at the local track in LA, and it was called Connie Cycling. It was just like you come on, I think it was like Wednesday night or something, super cheap, just go ride for a few hours. You get certified on the velodrome, and yeah, I did it with my brother and a friend, and then we got certified, and then went to like the Tuesday night training classes, the Thursday night ones, did the local races. Then I think, yeah, the first year I was doing track, we had nationals in LA. So of course it was just like common sense, just go to nationals. And then, yeah, kind of picked it up. I was actually kind of terrible at track when I started because I could not spin to save my soul. So I did not get it. I didn't understand the tactics. I was just like, I just go hard and I lose. But I was like, it's kind of fun just to go out and like chat afterwards. So I wasn't very good at track, but I picked it up my second year and just kind of stuck with it throughout juniors.
Seeing as you've done quite a few different disciplines now, what has been your favourite one, or one you've enjoyed the most?
I love road. Road is definitely like, I like the tactics and the freedom to be outdoors and just travel a lot more. The velodrome is really nice, like depending on what discipline you're doing, or event you're doing. But I still think the road is just so much nicer to be out in sunlight, in the weather. Okay, if it's raining and snowing, maybe not so much. But
I was going to say indoors over the rain.
Yeah.
Not quite, but
you've had some like great results as well, but what was like the first big result that you had when you were maybe a little bit younger that's kind of stuck out to you?
I think when I started like realizing that I could really perform in the elite category, I was 15 years old, because in the US you can race with the women's category, you can race with the men's category. You just have to upgrade with points. So I was racing with the pro men at 15 as well, like local criterions.
No way.
Yeah, so I had a few like top 20s in pro men criterion races when I was 15. So I had a lot of
That's
experience.
incredible.
It was a lot of fun for the weekends.
And what was it like racing with men, like grown men at 15? Did they like, were they quite respectful?
Some yes, some no. I think whenever I finished and then I was in front of them, then they were like, wait a second.
Yeah,
but,
you're like 15 in front of the men.
Yeah, I think the women were a bit more like negative towards me in the races sometimes whenever I was like a junior. Like some people were really like, oh, you're a junior, you should be in your category, don't race with us. And I was like, I'm just having fun, I like to sprint. And then so they were a bit more not as welcoming as the men, I would say. Actually, I think the men were more excited to be like, oh, there's women in here and they're not getting dropped. So they were actually more supportive. But yeah, I think my first like real result was like I won a criterium in a stage race, and then I went to the Redlands Classic. It's a pretty big stage race in the US, like one of the only surviving ones left. And I won the field sprint in front of some like really like good riders, and that's when I kind of was like, oh, wait a second, like I'm not terrible in this, I can still do it. And I was on junior gears at that point, so that was kind of an eye-opening moment to be like, okay, I can take this a bit more serious too.
And I guess even going back to racing with the men, and you said that you had your brother in there, that must have been quite nice to be racing with your brother. Were you beating him at that point?
He was beating me at this point, sadly. Like when we started, I could drop him and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then he kind of matured a bit. And then, yeah, he was racing for the top 5 and I was just like, just trying to get a top 20 or something. But yeah, I would follow him around.
Does he still compete now?
Yes, he's actually now doing, he had a really bad crash last year, so now he's doing paracycling, just for fun and stuff to keep him motivated. But yeah, so we always grew up doing everything together, so it was really nice.
And you obviously won junior world championships at 17. That, I feel like that as a junior, like that is obviously the biggest thing to win. That much, were you expecting to win that?
I think for the road race, I was expected. On the track, I won the Omnium in Madison as well. And I went to track and I was like, my parents were like, oh, we'll come over and support you and everything. And I was like, no, I'm just going over to learn and experience everything. Like,
I feel like that's a classic thing.
Yeah.
My parents were pissed with me. They were like, you told us you weren't even going to podium. Like, we would have came over. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't expect it at all. So
where was it?
it was in Frankfurt, Germany.
Ah.
Not Frankfurt, Maine, Frankfurt Oder. So it's like the side of like on the border of Poland. So it was a very unique experience as a 17-year-old.
Oh, I think I was there.
Were you?
I actually think I was there. Yeah, it was at Junior Worlds.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, I was there. I actually remember that. I was like, I swear I went to that junior. Yeah, I was doing like sprint. I think I got bronze or something, but I think I actually remember watching that. Damn, that's brought back a memory.
Yeah. I feel like you didn't even like.
No, I was like,
that you went.
I was like, I swear I've been to Junior Worlds there. Damn. And then was that like your first time in Europe, like proper like racing internationally, or had you done a bit before that?
I've been over to Europe a few times before that. Like when I was 16, I went over and raced with like a road team in Belgium. They were like, oh, we take a bunch of international riders and you can race with us and we'll take you to like local kermesses. So I had an experience in 2018. And then 2019, I did like the next gen Apeldoorn track race in the beginning of 2019. That one, that was brutal because you'd fly over like the day before, be jet lagged, stay in those like huts and like eat just like rolls of bread and then go to the velodrome and they're like, here's another piece of bread and a slice of cheese, have fun. There was massive crashes and you go back to your hut, walk to dinner in the rain, go back to the track the next day, and that was the trip.
Not gonna lie, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's still going now, the Apeldoorn in January. They still do now. It's a really good event actually. It's like a mini Nations Cup.
Still with
maybe not
a
the bread.
piece of bread and
hopefully
cheese.
they've upgraded the bread and cheese. But
and when you came over to Europe to race on the road, was it like a completely different style of racing? I haven't raced much in the US. I did tour California actually, but like the roads are like really wide and I think it's a really nice way of racing. But then you come to Europe and it's like smaller roads, like it's a lot more about positioning and things. Did you find that was a big difference, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think whenever I was first coming over to Europe, everyone gave me so much advice about like, oh, it's completely different. It's aggressive. You're going to have bigger fields. The roads are narrow. So I was like really stressed and kind of anxious when I was coming over. I was like, I'm going to get dropped. I'm going to be in crashes. Like I was preparing for the worst possible outcome. So when I got over to Europe for the first time, it was like U17 girls races and stuff. And honestly, it just felt like a criterium. Like, as long as you were positioned well, it wasn't that big of a difference, I thought. Yeah, the roads were a lot more narrow. Like, in the US, you can sit 70th and then do one sprint and be at the front because it's 4 lanes wide, 5 lanes wide. Like, it's not that hard to move up. You don't ever have to think about that, really. But yeah, you also waste a lot of energy. So I think when I was racing with the pro women at a young age or the pro men, you just learned how to position and, like, do that. So then when I came over to the narrow roads, it was just kind of second nature as well. So I found the transition a bit easier than some other people, I think.
So 2019, you won your first junior title on the track. And then obviously COVID happened to things like that. And then you went to the, I say 2020 Olympics. How, because I saw on your Instagram that you said you'd never done a team pursuit before. Or so, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you went to the Tokyo Olympics and got bronze. Tell us about that story. What?
Me and Emma were like reading your caption and we were like, does this mean that she went to the Olympics, like never done a team pursuit? Is that?
Basically, yeah, kind of. I did it as a junior, but like junior team pursuit compared to elite team pursuit, like I don't even count them as the same thing. So yeah, after junior track world, I went to junior road worlds, and then I started university. And while I was in university in the fall of 2019, I got this email saying like, hey, like we want you to come live at the Olympic Training Center. We think you can maybe make the Tokyo Olympic team. Like come live here and train and give it your best shot. And I was like, okay, pause school. Like normally I'm more education driven, and I was like, you know what, maybe take one semester off, go all in for the track. And then of course COVID happened. So then I stayed and trained at the Olympic Training Center for like all of 2020 and then the spring of 2021 as well. And then thankfully I made the Olympic team, because it would have been a big sacrifice if I didn't. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to be selected for as a reserve, not a reserve, but like the fifth rider the team pursued. But I didn't think I was going to do a round even. We did like one mock race at the training center and I rode around and it went all right. But like, I still wasn't like at the level of the other girls because they were the reigning world champions. And I was like, okay, I just am their training partner. I'm kind of the lead out person. I sit on the back. And then Madison was going to be my event. But yeah, then we got to the Olympics. And then after qualifying, I was told, oh, you're riding round one. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was not expecting that. So I just got thrown into the deep end. And yeah, I don't think the coaches were too keen on it either. There was just like a mishap in qualifying. So they were like, we're going to sub someone in and hope for the best. And yeah, I started P4, told to do 2 turns, just keep pace and get out of the way. So that was my job.
So what happened in qualifying? Was there some drama?
Just like, I think it was just a lot of pressure on one of the riders, and yeah, just some mental error where it was just stressful and made the wrong call to get back in and then got rode out of the line. And yeah, it was just a combination of issues. And then yeah, they just wanted to change it up for more to keep I think the focus of the whole team.
Yeah. And so how old are you going to that Olympics?
I was 19 at the Olympics.
Wow, 19. And what was... Obviously, I feel like for every athlete, the Olympics is like such a big event to go to. How was kind of, just being there at an Olympics? Obviously, it was a little bit different because of COVID, unfortunately. But yeah, what was the atmosphere like there?
The whole build-up, I think, was more like stressful into it, where it's just like, oh, you had to do like so many different like tests to get to the Tokyo because it was during COVID, the stress of it even happening. So then whenever you're finally like on the plane going there, you're like, oh, the breath of relief. But yeah, when you got there, it was really exciting. And then for the track, we were like in this golf resort, kind of like way out in like this satellite village. So it wasn't part of the Olympic like village or anything. So at one hand, it was really exciting because like you still felt like the environment was special, but at the same time, it was kind of a bit more relaxed because it felt like almost any other world championship or something like that, because you were so removed from any other discipline. I think the mountain bikers were there the first 2 days and then they were gone. So it was just track cyclists at this satellite village, and there was no spectators, nothing like that. So you weren't even allowed to ride anywhere else besides from the village to the velodrome. So you didn't even get to see any part of Japan or anything. Stop any gas station, anything like that. It was just like point to point, go to the velodrome, train, go back to the satellite village, and then back to the velodrome to race. So, but yeah, it was still a dream come true. I can't, even though it wasn't like a normal Olympics, I can't complain.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things are like the difference between like people going to Tokyo, if that was their first Olympics, like how different it was because you go there expecting a big crowd and I guess you make it your own, like what you said, like it was your first Olympics, like you must have been so excited anyway at 19, which is so young. How was the Madison after that? How was it competing in the team pursuit, obviously getting that bronze medal and then competing in the Madison, and yeah, how was the whole experience of that?
Yeah, so it was the first women's Madison at the Olympics, and it was really exciting because I think we did a training camp in LA before we flew to Tokyo, and yeah, something like I had COVID over New Year's of 2021, so I was really not, I had long COVID because I have asthma, so like it was not going well, and I didn't even think I would get selected, so it was kind of stressful for like 3 months. And then like the week before we left, like everything started clicking, and you just feel good on the bike. All the training efforts were going well. I was training with Jennifer Valente, who went on to win the Olympic gold in the Omnium, and like I was like being able to get through all of her sessions, and everything was going really well, and we were just clicking. So we had really high hopes going into the Madison. We were like, okay, top 5, potential of a medal, and we're like, so it's really motivating. And when I say I got into this Madison and it was the worst experience of my entire life, it was the worst experience of my entire life. Like, I don't know what went wrong. I could not push anything. Like, I was getting rode out the back, barely holding on. It was just so much faster than we anticipated, I think. And so the gear choice for me was just a bit too low. I think when looking back at the data, if I'm correct, it was like 130 RPM average for the whole thing. And I was just getting
average
spat out the back. And I was
oh
just like,
my gosh.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I rode a massive gear. It was the biggest gear I've ever raced in on the track too. And I was just like, I don't know what, it was just a horrible experience. And like in the Madison, like, you never intentionally try and miss an exchange. I was so dead. I like had to skip 2 exchanges intentionally. And I was like, coming off that race, I was like demoralized. So I went from like the highest of highs to like the lowest of lows I've ever experienced. So it was definitely a lot of emotions at 19.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with. But yeah, the Madison is definitely like one of the most stressful events. Have you ever done a Madison, Emma?
I've done it a little. Yeah, I did it at like nationals, but
yeah,
I can't really.
It's just like you have to be so switched on like the whole time. And I remember doing a Madison and I was like having a terrible day, and I think I must have missed like 3 changes in a row, and my teammate was like literally shouting up the track at me. I was like, I just can't drop in, I just can't do it to myself. And you can see them coming around and you can see how fast they go, and I was like, I've got no chance. But yeah, it's a lot, isn't it?
Especially when you're 19, like that, like your rise in the sport has been insane, like going from like, I guess BMX when you were like younger to competing on the road, winning your first year, and then going to the Olympics at 19. Like
that's a lot, isn't it?
How did you like mentally deal with that? Like how have you learned from that? Like how is that experience, like what's it taught you, I guess?
Yeah, I think it was always like I just would set crazy goals, and then I was like, oh, if they don't work out, they don't work out, but it was like, this is what I'm aiming for. So yeah, I never thought it wasn't like, okay, the Olympics was like a reach. That was definitely like the highest one, but like I was like, okay, I want to go to university, I want to go to world tour, I want to do all these things, race professionally. So it was just kind of like those were what I was working towards. And I think when I was younger, like I had a lot of nice opportunities where whenever I was given a big opportunity, I took it, and I was normally able to perform under pressure. If there was more pressure, I normally performed better. So that I think was my biggest asset. And then from that, I kept getting more and more opportunities, and I grew from that. But yeah, I think then once I got into the world tour, because I signed also my first world tour contract during COVID in 2020. So directly after the Olympics, during the Olympics, I was supposed to be in Europe actually racing on the road with then DSM. So I was kind of like missing my first year on the road, also doing the track, and then directly from the Olympics went over to race in the world tour. And then, yeah, I think I realized that sometimes it's not always smooth. Like I had a really smooth junior career, I think, without any big injuries. And that was I was very fortunate. And then I got to the world tour, and then I've had a lot of setbacks, and I'm like, okay, it's not always rainbows and butterflies for year after year. So yeah, it's definitely learning and being patient with yourself.
We are delighted to be working with Rouvy on Watts Occurring Femmes, and we have a great offer for you. You can use promo code FEMMES, FEMMES, for an additional 30 days on top of the 7-day free trial.
This is applicable to new subscribers only.
Rouvy's on a mission to bring the indoors to the outdoors, connecting you with real routes from around the world to your home. And in the summer, you can utilise Rouvy to do specific training sessions or to hide from the heatwave.
Rouvy's new route creator tool also allows riders to upload their favourite loops onto Rouvy. Everyone can easily convert their own video into a virtual route to ride at home. We've got some big plans with Rouvy over the next few months, so watch this space.
And remember to use the code FEMMES, FEMMES, for an extra month on us when you subscribe for the first time. So you were sort of juggling like the track, the road, university as well at the same time. And how old were you when you moved over to Europe full time?
I guess I moved over directly in 2022. I was still in university doing like dual, like online, in person. So I would spend as much time as I could on campus and then switch to online when I was in Europe.
How do you juggle university and being a full-time athlete? Or do you just love it and it's just not a chore?
Now I look back and I have no clue how it worked out. Like everyone's like, oh, how are you doing this? And I was like, now like that I've graduated and everything, I'm like, I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I have a to-do list. I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. Like, I don't have time for this. And I was like, I would take like massive course loads too to make up for the semesters that I was busy with racing. And like, I really don't understand. Like, it was just wake up, do school, go train, come back, do school, go to bed, repeat.
How did you deal with it when you were like at stage races? Would it be like race and then like as soon as you got back to the hotel, you were doing stuff? Or if you were racing, would you be like, no, I'll save it for like next week?
I tried to work ahead because the Wi-Fi you never can trust at hotels.
That's very true. Especially in
Get it
Europe.
off the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi is definitely not the best. So I think I worked ahead a lot. And then I went to a university that had cycling as like a sport there. So that helped a lot. So I was a collegiate cyclist. So then whenever I sent emails to professors and be like, hey, I'm away at a race, or I need to miss this because of a travel day or something like that, they were a bit more understanding instead of just going to someone who has no clue about cycling. So that helped a lot. But yeah, definitely communicating, working ahead, doing well in the classes to make sure you can ask for extensions or something. But yeah, I remember, I think it was 2022 in the spring, after like the classics, I would be like on the bus at like 7 p.m. just like writing essays, because you'd finish on Sunday and like they would only open with exams like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it before the race, so I'll do it on the way back. But then you have to like write essays or something. So I'm like finishing it up on the bus and everyone's like, are you okay? And I'm like, sure. Yeah, this will be fine. Like, it's fine.
I can't even imagine.
No.
Like, nearly after like a massive race, all you want to do is just sit there and like just do nothing. And you're there at fair play. What did you study in university? Or are you still actively doing it now? Have you finished?
No, I graduated in 2023, so I just did 4 years university and was done. I did 2 degrees, so I did or double major, exercise science and business.
Damn.
Nice.
Wow.
Fair play.
That's insane.
Kudos. And so when you moved over to Europe, was that quite a big move? Were you, I feel like obviously Europe is the place to be if you want to be a professional cyclist, but you know, it's not like you can just pop home at the weekend. It's quite a long way. Was that a big move for you?
Yeah, I think it was really fortunate with DSM and now like Picnic Personnel. They have apartments here in the Netherlands. So you have your own apartment as a women's rider for the team. So it's really nice to not be living out of a suitcase or like scrambling for a place to stay in Europe. You can just leave your stuff over winter, come back in the spring, and it's all there. So it's been nice to be able to like make an apartment my own. It's a little like a home away from home. It's definitely not my forever home, but it made it a bit easier to transition. And then also some of my teammates live here and stuff like that too, like at different apartments. So you always have someone to ride with or talk to, just to make it a little less lonely. But yeah, it's been nice because I think I handle being away from home a bit better than some other people. And I also know that it's not my forever career. So like I only have 10, 15 years in the sport probably over here professionally. So like make the most of it while I can, and then I can go back to the US.
I guess FaceTime's your best friend at the moment.
Yeah.
How often do you go home? Like, do you plan it in? Like, is it in off season or?
Yeah, normally like I've been over in Europe full time this year since January 1st, and I won't go home until October 8th. I'll be home for 2 days and then I go to a track camp and then track worlds. So yeah, I'll be home for like, in total, maybe I'll be in the US total, let's say, for like 6 weeks this year, maybe.
Do your parents get to come over to see you much in Europe?
Not much, but actually the first time, they came over for the first time in the spring this year and watched me race some of the classics for 3 weeks. So it was really nice. And then I'm doing a small track race next week in the Czech Republic, and my mom's going to come over as well and then stay with me till the end of the season. So just doing a little holiday back end. So yeah.
How are you finding juggling track and road?
I haven't done a lot of track, to be honest, training since Tokyo. So it's been really hard because normally I would go from the road, just go to a Nations Cup and like, yeah, I can't at least just jump back on and perform. So it's been pretty hard mentally, I think, balancing that because, yeah, I know I know that I can perform well on the track with some preparation, but then it's pretty hard to balance it with the road calendar being so full now, and then also doing that with road training with the team. So yeah, it's been pretty hard mentally, I think, going to the track and not being able to perform at what I expect myself to perform at. But yeah, now this year, I think I'll have a bit of a nicer preparation going into track world. So I'm excited to see if that helps a bit.
Yeah, because I feel like probably a good few years ago now, people could quite easily manage track and road when the seasons were like a little bit different. But I feel like it's getting harder and harder to do.
I feel like
both
the gears
now
are changing and like the tactics are so like you can't, like it's not similar to a bunch race. Like it is quite different. And yeah, I guess juggling that for you guys as well, I think has changed quite a lot. Like I've seen it quite a lot, especially in different nations. Like there's not as many, but that's exciting for you going to Worlds. Do you know what you're competing at yet in Chile?
Not yet, no. I hope the Madison at least, and then we'll see what the other events are. But I think, yeah, like you said, it's also really hard, I think, when you put together a team pursuit to go to a Nations Cup, and it's mainly like two or three are road riders, and then you have two track riders, and you're trying to train together, but one's coming in and needs recovery from the road races, and the other ones are trying to go full gas in a team pursuits, and then you kind of butt heads a bit too, which is always a struggle.
Yeah. And I feel like for team pursuit, it's quite a, like you really have to like gel as a team and spend time like riding behind each other's wheels super close and like understanding each other and just spending time riding together. And that must be quite hard when, like you're riding on the road and you just don't have the time to spend, weeks training together.
Yeah, I think last year was really nice. The national team came over we have a velodrome here in Zolder, Belgium, which is like 30 minutes from where I live. So that was really nice. And then, we were doing a camp there for like Olympic selections and stuff. So that was really nice where it was like a European-based track camp instead of having to fly back to the US and then from Europe and then fly back to Europe to race. So it was a bit nice to have a training camp, at least in Europe, with everyone.
Start of your world tour, you said that you got injured quite a lot. Did you break your pelvis? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is obviously like you're starting your new team, like you're really excited and like you've had quite a few setbacks. Like how did you deal with that and like how did the team support you doing that? And how was that whole...
First of all, how did the
how did
happen?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. How did you break your... Because that's not a nice... Yeah.
Yeah, so like I signed when I was in 2020 for 2021 season, and then I only raced for like a month in 2021 after the Olympics, and that went fine, or not fine. I had a lot of crashes, like it was just like being involved in pile-ups and not going anywhere. And then 2022 was just kind of like relearning how to race in the bunch because 2020 I didn't race one time on the road. I didn't race until the end of 2021, so it was basically relearning. And then 2023 in this beginning, it was like going super well. I got a World Tour podium, or end of 2022, I got some World Tour podiums. In 2023, I got second at Ghent Wevelgem, and I was like, okay, we got some momentum, we're going well. And then like from the middle of the season, it just kind of like took a nosedive, and the joke was, oh, next time, Megan. Oh, next time. Or you'll get there just next time. And I was like, please stop saying next time because I'm too scared to like figure out what's going to happen. Like with crashes, sickness, concussion, and just everything just started piling up. And then I made it to December camp. And then they're like, okay, new year, like next year it's going to be your year. I ended up having anemia very badly. So then I was like off the bike for like 3 weeks. I couldn't like ride, couldn't play hand of cards even because I couldn't focus. So then I took more rest. And then 2 days before Christmas, I was staying in Spain because I was going to Tour Down Under. And I was just on a descent coming back on a spin ride, and a car came head on with me in my lane. And then I avoided the car, thankfully. But in that, I went off the road and landed right on the edge of the pavement and then fractured my pelvis, tore my glute muscle. And then, so that was the ending of 2023. So I was like, see, you should never say next time. It's not good luck.
That is rough, isn't it? That's a lot of just bad luck in like one stint.
I went home. I was home for Christmas, thankfully in 2024 or 2023. And then, restarted my season in the beginning of the summer of 2024. So last year. And the first race was it was really nice. Like after so much time being away from racing, I was just so excited to get back to it. And it went really smoothly, got some top 10s. And then I went to ride London. And it was one of my favorite races, honestly. I'm so sad that it's off the calendar now, but it was a really nice race. And then the second stage, there was a massive pile up on the downhill, and I ended up getting concussed very badly. And that was the week before Olympic selections for Paris on the track. So needless to say, I was not present for that.
Oh, no. Do you think like all of that, I feel like there's a lot of things that has happened there, but do you think that's affected your confidence in any way, or has that been something that you struggled with, like getting back in the bunch after crashing, or just being out on the road training and thinking in the back of your mind, is a car going to come on the wrong side of the road and come at me?
Yes, for sure. It took a lot of talking to my sports psychologist to break through some mental barriers, for sure. I think in races I'm a bit better where it's when I need to take risks or I need to really push, I can, but I'm much more cautious whenever it's beginning of a stage or just a random descent. I'm there's no need to be on the front or be pushing any bad scenarios, especially training. I used to send downhills. It was just, I'd love to descend, and now I'm it's kind of sad where I'm like, I'm almost happier to do a climb, which for me is, I don't think I would ever say. I'm almost happier to do a climb now than I would than descending. But yeah, the confidence is definitely, you always get shaken or you see the danger, I think, once you've experienced the outcomes or the bad outcomes from it. So yeah, definitely a mental block sometimes.
Have you, you said you worked with your sports psychologist. Have you got any, maybe if like someone's listened to this and they're maybe struggling with something similar, have you got any, was there anything that you did with your sports psychologist that you could like share that is maybe just a little tip that would help anybody?
Repeatedly doing a descent that or you're like, maybe it's just you're scared of it. Whenever I would go to like, there's not many hills in the Netherlands, but there are some, or whenever you're in Spain, doing a descent and like really practicing like the skills to keep like, you retrain your brain to say that it's not dangerous, or like you keep doing something over and over again. So it's positive reinforcement. So it's like, okay, if I do something that I'm scared of, and nothing bad happens, and you keep doing that over and over again, you kind of get that confidence back where you're like, okay, if I do this, I'm not going to get injured or I'm not going to get hurt. So it's just rewiring the brain pathway to say you're safe, basically.
I feel like that is something that when I was racing, that like something would happen, I'd crash. And I think it is like as you get a little bit older and you realize kind of the risk in cycling. And yeah, like before, like when I was younger, like junior, you just go through the gap that wasn't even there. But then kind of like towards the end of my career, I was like, I'll just stay at the back. I'm happy here. I don't want to fight for position at the front.
And it can scar you. Like you go into a race and you're like, I'm not going to do that. But especially like these bunch finishes now are like, I can't even watch them sometimes. They're literally crazy. Or like how people descend now is literally insane. So yeah, I guess I've never actually thought of it as in like doing a process to help you not be scared of that. And I think that is like really good. Like, because the more you do it, the more you're like, I've descended many times. But I guess the sport we do, it is quite scary. You're next to people and you're going so fast.
Yeah, and sometimes it is sort of the people around you that's like the uncontrollable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, what if they like slam on their brakes?
Probably you've had has been not from your own cause.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just elite sport and that's savage part of it.
Yeah, it's part of it. A reminder that today's show is hosted by Pinarello, and we're lucky enough to be in the Wilmslow store today. And me and Emma actually both love riding at F-Series bikes, don't we, Emma?
We do.
We went on a ride recently together, didn't we?
The cafe ride was really, really fun. And I've actually ridden a lot more on the road since having my new bike. It makes such a difference.
Do you love it?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. The white on the road against the kit is amazing. It's such a dream to ride.
This is your start of you becoming a road rider in the future.
No, guys, don't worry about that. But it does make a huge difference having a nice bike and being able to go out. I think, yeah, it definitely makes it more enjoyable. It definitely makes you want to go out because you have this such a nice bike underneath you. And yeah, I do really enjoy it.
Don't just take our word for it. Head to your local Pinarello retailer and check out the whole range for yourself.
Search Pinarello store locator to find your nearest store.
Megan, I think you should tell us now a little bit about some of the fundraising you're doing for junior cycling in the US. So how did that all start?
Yeah, it's a really exciting project, and thanks for bringing it up. It's really nice to hear or been reached out by a lot of people who are supportive of it. So I was really worried whenever I first did this fundraising because I was like, maybe like 2 people are going to donate and then like some like my parents are going to donate because they feel bad for me or something. And so I was really stressed that it wasn't going to be well received. But yeah, I was working actually last year on a project for the spring trips for the Nation Cups for the junior women to get them fully funded, because for the Nations Cups, for the spring trips of the national team, the juniors have to pay a fee, their flights, their luggage, and it adds up. And then to get to local races and then to worlds, it just adds up. So I was trying to make this whole thing where it was it was going to be a scholarship where it'd be like your trip would be paid for, your flight would be paid for, and then it would come with like mentorship by myself, where it'd be like, okay, you're coming from the US to Europe for the first time. You need to get like an adapter. How do you get through customs? How do you do like this stuff? So it'd be like more like mentorship. But that was just delayed, where it was like funding didn't come through. There was just like a lot of process that just kept getting delayed. And I was like talking to my manager and I was like, I want to do something this year for the juniors. So we decided, we're like, okay, let's support the world championships, because yeah, the national team was saying that, oh, we might just bring 2 riders, not the 4 where we have spots for, because it's just so expensive for the trip. So then we discussed it and we're like, maybe we'll just start a fundraiser and we'll just see where it goes, and then hopefully that'll cover at least the 2 that are going fully funded, or if we if it starts going really well, then the 4, they'll be more open to it. And yeah, it got received with open arms, I think. There was still a lot of negative feedback, I think, for the national governing body, but overall for the juniors, yeah, it got over 10,000, and then I opened it up to 15,000, and I think now it's past 15,000. So yeah, the 4 juniors are basically completely funded, at least their service fees, and then the majority of their flights.
That's
that
so
is
amazing.
insane.
Yeah. And how come juniors aren't funded in the US? Like,
what's the
especially for
system?
for the world, surely that's like a no-brainer for them. Is it like because the US cycling just doesn't have the money to send?
It's not just the juniors. All categories will have to pay these fees in their flights.
Really?
Unless you
even elite.
Yeah, last year I was selected for Elite Road Worlds in Switzerland, and I was going to have to pay a service fee and my flights and luggage and stuff. So if you don't, there's quota spots. There's like level 1 funding and level 2 funding. I don't know exactly because it is always changing, but that's how it used to be and mainly is. Where like level 1, if you like are the reigning world champion or you got top 3 or you won nationals or something, then you're fully funded. But then everyone else, you have to pay a service fee and your flights. So it adds up pretty quickly. Yeah, it's the national team for the US. We don't have a lot of funding or enough to cover every discipline like mountain, cyclocross, road, BMX, track, plus the flights and stuff.
Why do you think that's it? Like, why do you think there is a lack of funding in the US?
It's just not as it's not popular in the US. First, like cycling isn't really like known, so that's why it's been really nice to have the women's Tour de France, because if I go back to the US and I say I'm a professional cyclist, they're like, and do you do the Tour de France? And normally I'd be like, no. Or they're like, do you know Lance Armstrong? And I'm like, no. And so there's only like 2 options where people say, so now I can say that I do the Tour de France for women, which is really nice, but it's just, that's all people have. They only know about those 2 things really in cycling in the US.
That is such a big barrier for especially like juniors. Cycling's expensive enough as it is, and especially like in the US where you probably have to travel for hours and hours to get to races anyway. Yes. And then like equipment and everything. And then, if, a young athlete does have aspirations to be a professional cyclist, but maybe just doesn't have the money, because it must cost so much just to get over there. You need to be there a few days before, hotels and all of that. It's just like a ridiculous amount of money that adds up at a young age where, if you don't have like sponsors and stuff, it can just be impossible. And that can essentially kill someone's dream of becoming a professional rider. Yes,
for sure. And that's the big thing where I think also the national body is like we have people who fund the national team, but also that money dries up a bit quicker than say the Dutch Federation or any federation that's over in Europe, because you think about a flight to Switzerland from here for like the Dutch team, it's what you can jump on a Vueling flight or an EasyJet flight for €50. They drive the bike and equipment across, whereas for an American it costs what, $2,000 for a round trip flight, plus the luggage you have to fly with, like 200, 300 euros on top of that. You have to get over longer for jet lag, everything. So just a small trip for one rider in Europe compared to an American, it takes a lot more from the funds. So I think it's drained a bit quicker. So even if we do have like great donors, it just dries up quicker.
And even like the mentor side, I think is really important, because, as a young person, like flying halfway across the world, like even now, sometimes I get to airports and I'm like,
it's intimidating.
Where am I meant to go? What am I meant to do? So I think that's a really good idea as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope to make that more for next year, for the next spring trip, to do the mentorships and like scholarships for next year. So if anyone's listening and wants to partner with me on that, let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, how can people like get involved, and like, do you have a link?
You can probably reach out on like social media. That would probably be the easiest way to get into contact, on Instagram or something. Yeah, I can also link like my manager and stuff in the emails to communicate with that. But right now the GoFundMe is still open to fully fund. So if people want to donate, they can go to that link as well. That's in my bio.
For sure. And is this something that you wish to continue and you're just going to keep growing? And I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I think it's so cool that how one person can make such a difference to junior, people's careers. And I think it's crazy from like, I don't know, we're quite privileged in a way, like in British cycling. And I think hearing other stories about how people have to like pay their way into the sport and like turn up to the world championships and have to pay like so much money to it, I think yeah, it's really sad that like I'm hearing that. So like you're like, it's amazing what you're doing. I think, yeah, it's
I
so
think, yeah,
good.
even just kind of plucking up the courage to do something about it is really brave. And I think, yeah, this is only going to give it like more exposure, because I guess a lot of people just don't know that is the case.
No, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't
definitely
either. No. Do you think it will ever change to be fully funded for, you know, the juniors?
I hope so, because whenever I was a junior, I was like level 1 funded, and I know a few of us, the majority of us were level 1 funded somehow. So they did have the funds back then, and we all qualified for it. So yeah, it just kind of ebbs and flows throughout the years. So I hope that it can grow and be fully funded, because yeah, whenever I look back on when I was a junior, especially racing with my brother, like for my parents and our family, like it was expensive discipline and expensive sport. And I know there's more expensive sports out there, but like to grow the sport of cycling, like you just need support and money. And a lot of people are like, how can I help? And I'm like, honestly, it's just money to pay for trips, to pay for equipment, to pay to get to races. So yeah.
Do you think the cycling scene in the US, I feel like it used to be, you know, used to have like Tour California and the big crit races. Do you think there will be kind of like another boom with a lot of races in the US, or is that something that you'd like to see?
I would love to see more races be brought back to the US. Like we had the Maryland Cycling Classic this last week, which was really exciting. They had the men's UCI Maryland Cycling Classic the last 2 years, and then this year was the 3rd edition, and they added a women's race. So that was really nice. But the US is so massive. Like the Maryland Cycling Classic compared to where I live, that would be 30 something hours of driving to get there. Like, so you'd have to fly to race those races. But yeah, like the local crit scenes, like that's also have been diminishing, because I think just the permits to hold these criteriums, like it's just so much, it's increased so much. And then, so then the prices to enter a 1 hour race has to increase because there's less people racing. And then it's just like, people are more negative because they're like, I don't want to pay 50 euros to race an hour crit. And then there's no prize money or something. So it's kind of butting heads a bit. So I would love to see more sponsorship go to like local level races. And I think that also could boost like the Women's World Tour and get more development, because once you're done with juniors, it's like you either make the step up to World Tour or you're kind of just in this no man's land trying to get noticed, but there's no races for you to get noticed at anymore. So yeah.
Hopefully the Olympics will kind of springboard that, because obviously it is going to be in LA, and
yes.
Hopefully like what you said, like cycling, I guess, isn't a big sport in the US. So hopefully that will show people, I guess, on the track and on the road and the beautiful like places there is to ride. And hopefully that will be a springboard, because I think, like we said, it clearly needs that. And is that something that you're looking towards too? Is that like a goal of yours?
Yeah, definitely. The LA Olympics are definitely like, I've been saying that since I started. Like once I found out LA Olympics 2028, that would be the biggest goal, I think. And I don't know what the road race is going to be like. So I'm waiting for the course to be announced. I'm a bit worried they're going to do it a bit too hilly for me in the Malibu hills. But for the track, like home track, like Madison, that would be an absolute dream.
Would you want to do track and road there?
If it's possible. I think I looked, there was like a calendar that came out, and I think there are a few days it's separated a bit more than it was in Paris. So I'm hoping that maybe it would be doable. But yeah, it also depends on quota spots and UCI points and rankings and what the course is like for the road. So it'll be a lot.
Yeah, home games would be so special, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, like everyone would want to like. And I saw like Snoop Dogg was when we finished Paris, he was like holding the
Snoop Dogg
flame for. I feel like it's going to be huge in like Americas, and I hopefully for the sport and like for people, and it just raises awareness. Like it is a really cool sport, and like it is fun, and I hopefully people will get involved, and because that's kind of part of the games, it gives that exposure to the venue, to the people, to everyone doing it, and I think that is exciting.
Congratulations on the podium on the weekend.
What's
your next race?
I have the track race in the Czech Republic coming up, and that's kind of just like solo, just racing it on me again for the first time in 3 years. So that's going to be fun. And then And then I'll do Bench Chimay, the last road race of the year, October 7th. And then I'll go back to the US for a track camp and then to Chile for Track Worlds if everything goes smoothly. So season's almost over. Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Mine's only just starting.
Yeah. Emma's like, I haven't raced this year
You're
yet.
like season 7, I'm like, I haven't even raced yet.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Worlds to come around.
Are you excited for the next year's Nations Cups, like the announcements? Is that like a good...
Yeah. I've seen that. They're in Perth. Where are they?
Perth, Malaysia was one of them, I think?
Malaysia and Cairo maybe, or they're in some absolutely like crazy places.
They sound like interesting
and
places
there's
to
a
go.
few in Canada the year after. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty cool.
Yeah, that
pretty
sounds
cool
really
calendar.
fun.
Yeah, are you planning on racing? How is the team with you when you are they happy for you to do track and road?
Not too keen on balancing both. If it overlaps with the road calendar, it's not really smiled at, so it's been difficult. But yeah, I think it will be about balancing like UCI points, individual UCI points, getting to race the Nations Cups, and then especially like 2027, like when you need to score points as a nation to get quota spots. I'll push more for the track for sure.
And I guess if you're passionate about it, like
if you enjoy it as well.
yeah, and you're really good at the track, so why not push for both?
I also think all my best results have come on the road after doing a block of track training. So then I'm like, okay, like let's look at the best results I have, and then
here's the evidence.
What type of rider are you? Obviously, you're really successful in like finishing. Like you've obviously done really well at your recent race, but like, yeah, what type of ride? Like, what do you prefer? Like, what kind of races? What's your style?
Yeah, when I was a junior, I was definitely more just sprinter. Like I could ride hard and attack and stuff, but if you saw me attack, it was only to like thin out the bunch. It was never to like actually be in a breakaway. That was like my biggest fear, is like actually having to ride a breakaway probably. But now I think like I still have an okay sprint at the end of a hard race, but I'm definitely not going to be like Lorena Wiebes in a sprint, or like my teammate, or now not teammate, Charlotte Cool in a sprint. Like I'm just not like that explosive. But after a hard classics race, like Get Wobblegum or something, short climbs, bad weather, and then a sprint at the end, that would be my favorite type of races. So like Plouay, which I did a week and a half ago, that course I really, really like. I just went in a bit too fatigued this year to it. Wasn't rested enough. But that course is something I really like.
Nice. Did you have any, like growing up, did you have anybody that you really looked up to or inspired you?
I think for like the US, especially like Corinne Lebecki, like Corinne Rivera, I was teammates with her for my first year on the team, but she was from Southern California as well. Grew up racing the criteriums in SoCal. She went to university. She went to this team. She won a bunch of classics. Really successful rider. And I think just having her, and she's always so friendly and answered so many questions. I can go back on WhatsApp or messages, and it's just like insane how many questions I asked her, and she never ignored me or anything, was always giving advice. So I really looked up to her and still do.
I felt that's a really, really important at a young age, having someone that you can just sort of rely on and ask questions, especially if you're kind of looking up to them as well. That must have helped quite a lot.
Exactly.
Should we wrap it there?
Yeah.
It's been so good to chat to you, and so inspiring as well with everything that you're doing in the fundraising world. And yeah, we really hope that that's a success and gets more juniors to race in the US.
Obviously, you juggling university, I think that's incredible.
Juggling university, track, road,
BMX, mountain bike, and I can't wait to watch your journey, and hopefully I'll see you in Chile as well. So yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was great chatting with you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.